My boys, we need to talk about IGN because it's getting silly out here, a little too silly. Now, I don't know about you, but when I think of articles and reviews or just general news about anything gaming related, my mind jumps to what is probably the most well-known publication out there. That being the Imagine Games Network. Now, IGN's credibility, it's I'm sorry. Can we get this out of the way? I'm trying to. Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Now, IGN's credibility is up there. I don't know off the top of my head of any other gaming publication that has as much pull as they do. They are a big player in the gaming journalism space, and a publication as big as them reaches a lot of people, and they show the general public a professional perspective on video game hardware and software. But my boys, you and I are not the general public. You're watching a sausage talk about gaming stuff on YouTube, so chances are you're a bit more online than most people. So we both know that IGN reviews are not a metric that people should blindly follow. Hell, people online know to actively avoid IGN reviews. Now, I myself am very in tune and involved with everything in the gaming space, on both fronts of the actual business perspective as well as just regular fan discussion. But both of those are very inconsequential to my own enjoyment of video games as a whole. At the end of the day, the only news that's actually worth a damn is the coverage of games or hardware that's currently available to the public. And that's why IGN is so important for the general public. They score games and hardware and include a review to support the score that they gave it, which in turn helps guide people toward or away from certain products. People just want to know if the new Call of Duty Shoot-A-Man reviews well enough to justify buying it. I know there's countless other gaming publications and some just as big as IGN, but I feel like IGN is just the kind of go-to for a lot of people. I remember a time before I deep fried my frontal lobe by engaging with multiple different discussions around gaming day after day, where my go-to place was IGN. I'd boot up the family computer as a kid and go, oh yeah, mom and dad, one copy of Paper Mario Sticker Star please, it got an 8 out of 10, so it's gotta be good. And after being lied to by my trusted gaming publication like that, I started to do what a lot of other people do, and I'll just watch videos on games I'm on the fence about to further form an opinion on it. IGN just does this thing, where a good game will get a bad review, but a worse game will have a good review. They are notorious for this, and a lot of people know to not let an IGN review influence their own decision. Which, for you and me, we can watch a Before You Buy or Donkey or The Blue Puppet talk about said game to formulate an opinion on it, but for the average Joe, they're not doing all that. They're gonna see what a reputable gaming publication has to say about a gaming product, and have that help their decision making. Which is why, IGN, you gotta get your shit together. You are a big player in the games journalism space. Yet nobody takes you seriously because of your horrid takes on games. Do you see the issue? I mean, how in God's green earth does Sonic Unleashed get a 4.5, but Forces gets a 6.9? You give Sword and Shield a 9.2 and Arceus gets a 7. A great experience like Alien Isolation gets a 5 and Halo 4 out of all Halo games gets a 9.8? IGN, please, we gotta fix this. The fluctuation in their scoring methods is the reason a lot of people just choose to ignore IGN for the most part. And I understand why, because when a titan in the industry like IGN slaps down a genuinely good game with a bad review, that can be upsetting to the people who feel that said game is better than its review score. And it can be especially frustrating since, because of how big of a name IGN is in games journalism, most average Joes will see a staple name like IGN and just take their word for it, which can deadass just kill a game that didn't deserve to be killed. These review inconsistencies happen because they're all done by different people, which is fine because people are gonna have different takes from one another because we're only human at the end of the day. People's opinions on certain things are bound to clash. This is the best Mario Party I ever played!
For more Mario, check out the constant party that is IGN.
But for years now, I've had the thought that one of the largest gaming publications should not have such an issue of inconsistency among their reviews of video games. Games getting reviewed by different people is fine. I mean, hell, I don't know how it would work if there weren't multiple people reviewing all the games that came out. But as a brand, as such a big player in the games journalism space, IGN has got to do better with their reviews. And I don't mean to discredit the people who write the reviews at IGN, because it is a good thing to be able to acknowledge where different people may feel differently about certain opinions in gaming. But it also just doesn't make sense when you literally say you want to be the #1 destination for all video game news and expert reviews, and in the same breath publish reviews that at times can carry immense bias or just misunderstand a game entirely. Some people think that IGN pumps out dog shit reviews as a way to get hate clicks and garner traffic to their platform, and you know what? I could see that being the case, but I don't think that's actually what's going on. So I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt because I really just don't understand what the long-term goal of that would be. Because yeah, you get short-term traffic to your website, but long-term wise, a lot of people are going to avoid IGN as a whole because of those poor reviews. Like I said earlier, I think it just comes down to different people with different tastes. But when you want to be the #1 destination for all video game news and reviews, you should probably have a better way to grade games. A way that doesn't penalize undeserving games of getting lower scores because of one individual's perception of it. This is where I had the idea that IGN could adopt a rubric and score games based on what it does successfully within that rubric. But that gets kinda tricky because you wouldn't be able to judge every game all on the same rubric. You would ideally need multiple different grading structures for the multiple different genres of game. And I also think that approach would just be hard to implement, and it would probably make reviews feel pretty lifeless. So maybe it sounds silly, but I think the best way to improve IGN reviews is to have more of them. Hear me out. But why does just one person at the IGN staff decide the score for a game? Because there are just too many instances where one person's review of a game misses the mark on the experience that's actually being delivered. And I don't think a review from one of the most influential gaming publications should be done by just one person. A way to alleviate frustration from people who disagree with misguided reviews is to have multiple reviews from multiple staff members so we can see the many different angles of critique that we may or may not agree with. And you could add all of the reviews together for an average score. Because when people get mad at IGN for an L-take review, people usually aren't getting mad at Alex or Tyler or Kimberly or whoever wrote the review. People get upset at the Imagine Games Network for having the influence that they do in the gaming space and still managing to misinterpret certain games and causing potential damage to the general public's perception of it. I don't want to take away from this video to be that all IGN reviews are bad, because I don't think they are. I feel like they're somewhat on the right track most of the time. But that doesn't make the damage that they can do with an unjust review an okay thing. So I just wanted to give my 2 cents on that. This was something I've been wanting to make a video on for a while, and I just decided to let it rip. So my boys, if you think I'm onto something, or if you have ideas of how IGN could restructure their reviews, go yell at me in the comments. And if you think I'm a dumb, ugly, hot dog water smelling idiot with lopsided eyes, go yell at me in the comments. But as always, take care of yourselves.